U.S. President Joe Biden will host the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for an official state visit to the United States. The visit includes a state dinner and an address to the joint session of the Congress. Today, the Indian Foreign Ministry will hold a press meeting and detail the Prime Minister's schedule ahead of Narendra Modi's historic visit. Indian Americans held a unity march across U.S. cities.
With me are members of the Indian American diaspora who are here to welcome the Indian Prime Minister. Sir, welcome to WION. My first question to you is, you are carrying this banner. What's the message you want to send to Indian Prime Minister?
So, Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, is the world leader, and he and India has earned the right to sit on the world table, high table. People to people connect between America and India, so which is larger than any other relationship, and Biden and Modi ji are paving the world next path.
Next path. There are other members of the Indian diaspora. They are very brightly lit colors they are wearing, and they are wearing shirts as well. Modi in America hashtag. But let me come to you first, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Your message to the Indian Prime Minister.
Yeah, thank you, Modi, for coming to US here, and we are so proud. Today it is so vibrant. One thing I want to tell you, in the last 10 years, India has transformed. It is going to be the global leader, and we are at a third in the economy in the whole world, really. So we'll like to look forward for continued relationship between US and India.
Shirt. You need to talk about the shirt. Where did you got this shirt, and why are you wearing this?
This is the shirt I got when 2014. He was there in the Madison's Garden where the Modi event happened. So I was a volunteer that time. I still have that thing. Actually, I'm preserving this one from the last 10-12 years, and I'm going to keep it forever.
The Indian Prime Minister's visit will begin in New York, where he will lead the celebrations of the International Day of Yoga at the headquarters of the United Nations. Starting in 2014, the International Day of Yoga has become one of the major events in the annual calendar of activities of the United Nations. Amid China's territorial ambitions, Washington is working to deepen ties with the world's largest democracy and sees deeper military-to-military and technology ties. The Biden administration is all set to sign a deal that would allow US-based General Electric to produce engines for military aircrafts on Indian soil. While India can manufacture jets domestically, it is keen to get the technical know-how to make aircraft engines. India intends to produce more than 350 fighter jets for its Air Force and Navy over the next 2 decades, which could be powered by the General Electric's engine 414. Last May, Biden and Prime Minister Modi announced a bilateral initiative on critical and emerging technology dubbed as ICET. The two leaders directed their governments to work together on advanced technology from AI to semiconductor chips and quantum computing, especially in defense. And for more on this, our correspondent Molly Gambhir has sent us this report from New York.
The countdown is underway for the highly anticipated state visit of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the United States, his maiden US state visit here in New York. Right behind me is the hotel where the Indian Prime Minister will be staying in just days from now, where he will be kicking off that historic visit to the US. He will be in Washington, D.C., where a jam-packed schedule lies ahead for him, meeting the business delegates, addressing the Indian diaspora, and of course, the all-important state dinner. The Indian Prime Minister, his maiden state visit to the US is reflective of the deep and close partnership between the two countries, according to the White House. And of course, this visit will only provide a further boost to the partnership between the two countries. After all, the state visit is the highest expression of the friendly bilateral ties between the two sides. Molly Gambhir in New York for WION World is One.
Well, let's talk more about this trip by the Indian Prime Minister to the United States. And joining us live now from the Times Square in New York is our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sidhan Sibol. Sidhan Sibol, good to see you. There's a lot of anticipation and enthusiasm in the United States ahead of this visit by the Prime Minister Modi to the United States. What more can you tell us about this visit?
Well, Eric, this visit will be a visit like none other. The Indian Prime Minister has been to US several times since he took charge in 2014. In fact, 2014, 15, 16, 2021 was the last time he visited United States. There has been a regular pace of Indian Prime Minister's visit to United States, but this one is the first official state visit that is the highest protocol being accorded by the Biden administration to the Indian Prime Minister. This is his first visit as the official visit, and focus, of course, will be on the substantive outcomes, whether it's the defense deal, something we have been talking about, the Predator drone deal, or the GE, the manufacturing of jet engines in India, or whether it is the initiative like on critical technologies. But above all, what you will see during this visit that will commence later this week, a celebration of sorts between the two countries. Now, we know that at one point, especially during Cold War in the last century, we saw both Washington and New Delhi not very friendly to each other. There have been a lot of occasions as well, including 1971. But in the last 2 decades of this century, we have seen a progressive evolution in the relationship between the two countries, and successive administration, whether it's the Biden administration, the Trump administration, the Obama administration, the Bush administration, all have made sure that how the relationship can be increased. The nuclear deal in 2005 did provide that breakthrough, but since then it's moving in a positive trajectory, and during this visit we will see an embrace of sort between the two countries as they essentially bury the hesitations of history when it comes to their relationship.
Siddhant Sibal, the Prime Minister has a long list in his itinerary for this trip. He heads to the United States, and later on he will be going to Africa, more specifically in Egypt. Do we have a confirmation that the Prime Minister will be heading to Egypt after his trip to the United States? And what should we expect in his 2-day trip to the United States?
Well, Eric, yes, the Indian Prime Minister does travel to Egypt after his US visit. He will be in Egypt from 24th to 25th. Now, we know when it comes to India-Egypt relationship, there have been progressive, incremental steps taken by two sides. President Sisi was in India in the month of January this year as the guest of honor at India's Republic Day parade. That is essentially a message by New Delhi as to how closely it is looking forward to build relationship with Cairo, and there has been reciprocal initiatives by the Egyptians. They have been keen on India's defense technology, and Egypt provides India that opening into Africa. There has been, of course, long civilizational connect between India and Africa, but Egypt is placed in a way that it is an opening. It has free trade agreements with the countries in the region that provides an opportunity, a platform for Indian businesses to look forward to the region. And also, when it comes to the Egyptian role, the influence, not only in Africa, but also in the larger West Asian region. It is one of the most populated countries of the Arab world. It has its own unique civilizational role, and that is something that attracts both countries, India and Egypt. And we saw how the Indian Prime Minister has written letters to G20 counterparts, hoping that African Union can become the member of the grouping under Indian presidency of the G20. So it's just not Egypt, but it's the larger African continent that India is eager to build strong relationship.
Live from Times Square, New York, our correspondent Siddhant Sibal, thank you very much. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.